Most people walking through the woods are surrounded by food and have no idea. Dandelions, wild berries, whole trees loaded with edible bark and sap, all ignored, walked past, or pulled out as a weed. And here's the part that matters. Some of what looks safe has a cousin that isn't. Get it wrong out here, and that's not a minor mistake. Today we cover 15 plants, berries, and trees a wilderness guide actually relies on, including the one growing in your own yard and the one near the end with a lookalike that has fooled people before. I'm Ranger Jack. 17 years outfitting clients on multi-day alpine and winter trips, no app, no supplement deal. Every plant on this list is something I've personally eaten and reconfirmed myself, not just read about. Number 1, dandelion. You know this plant. Jagged leaves and a low rosette, a hollow stem, that single yellow flower that turns into a puffball. Every part of it is usable, the leaves for greens, the root roasted and ground as a coffee substitute, even the flower itself, eaten raw or fried. It grows almost everywhere, most of the year, and it never really hides from you. That's not a weed you're pulling out of your lawn. That's a salad, a hot drink, and a snack. And it's the easiest confirmation on this entire list. And the next one is growing in the same patch of grass. You just don't recognize it as food yet. Number 2, blackberry. Thorny canes, compound leaves, dark clustered berries by late summer. The ripeness test is simple. A ready berry pulls free with almost no resistance. And if you have to tug, it isn't ready yet. This one you already trust. And that's exactly why it's early on this list. Real calories, real sugar when you need energy fast, and genuinely high vitamin C. Even the leaves are usable, dried out for a simple field tea. This is the one people already believe in without question. The goal today is getting you to trust a dozen more just like it. The next one's growing in the same lawns as the dandelion, and almost nobody eats it. Number 3, clover. 3 rounded leaflets, sometimes 4 if you're lucky, a small white or pink flower ball, mild, not exciting, but reliable. And reliable is exactly what matters when you're actually hungry instead of just curious. It grows in huge quantities almost anywhere grass does, which makes it one of the easiest calorie sources to find in real bulk when you need it. The flowers are actually a little sweeter than the leaves, and if you're gathering a lot of it, cooking it briefly makes it easier on your stomach than eating it raw by the handful. The next one gets confused with clover constantly, and that mix-up is actually worth understanding now, before it matters later. Number 4, broadleaf plantain. Wide oval leaves with parallel veins running lengthwise, a low rosette, a thin, tough flower spike coming up the middle. You've stepped on this in a parking lot crack. It's tougher than the concrete it's growing out of. Young leaves are edible, and it doubles as a genuine field remedy, crushed and applied to a sting or a scrape when you don't have anything else on hand. There's a narrower-leaved cousin that grows the same way and works the same way. So, if you find the long-ribbed version instead of the broad oval one, you're still fine. The next one's a berry most people can already identify at a glance. The trick is knowing it's harmless double. Number 5, wild strawberry. 3-part serrated leaflets, small white flowers, tiny red berries, nowhere near the size of what you'd find in a grocery store, but real fruit with real vitamin C in it. You'll find them at forest edges and open meadows in early summer, usually low to the ground and easy to miss if you're not looking down. I'll tell you why this one matters to me specifically. Early in my guiding career, on a trip where our food had run short, I watched a client reach for a berry that looked almost identical to the one I just pointed out as safe. From 10 feet away, I almost didn't catch it in time. It turned out to be a mock strawberry, not dangerous, just bland, seedy on top, instead of studded with real seeds underneath. Nobody got hurt that day. But it's the exact moment I started treating plant identification with the same discipline I use checking a client's gear before a trip. Nobody gets hurt confusing these two specifically. But if you can't tell them apart at a glance, you're not ready for a couple of the ones coming up later on this list. The next one doesn't look like food at all, and that's exactly why it works. Number 6. Chickweed. Small opposite leaves, tiny white star-shaped flowers, and one detail that actually confirms it: a single line of fine hairs running down one side of the stem. That line is your identification, not the leaf shape alone. It's mild, almost a little like corn silk in texture, edible in most climates for a big part of the year, and a solid bulk green when there isn't much else up yet. Harvest it before it goes fully to seed, and it stays tender enough to eat completely raw, straight off the plant. This next one is already sitting in your salad bowl somewhere. You just call it a weed. Number 7. Wood sorrel. Heart-shaped leaflets in groups of 3, different from clover's rounded leaflets once you actually look closely, and a sharp, lemony taste that gives it away instantly. That taste is actually the fastest way to confirm it in the field. Clover has almost no flavor at all. If it bites back with something sour, that's wood sorrel, not clover. It's a solid source of vitamin C, and sour enough to flavor whatever else you foraged that day. It grows well in shaded, disturbed soil, forest edges, trail margins, places where the ground's been turned over, and like most sour wild greens, it's a garnish and a flavoring, not something you sit down and eat by the fistful. Now we're leaving the lawn behind entirely. The next one only shows up near water. Number 8. Cattail. Tall, reed-like stalks, a brown cylindrical seed head growing in shallow water or wet ground. This is the closest thing to a wild grocery store you'll find out here. Different parts are edible, depending on the season, from the young shoots, which taste a little like cucumber, to the yellow pollen, which is genuinely protein-rich and can be mixed straight into flour, to the starchy root underneath the mud. If I had to pick one plant on this entire list to build an actual food plan around, this is near the very top of it. Some old-timers call it the supermarket of the swamp, and once you've eaten off one, you understand why. The next one only shows up for a few weeks a year, and it happens to be one of the best sources of vitamin C on this whole list. Number 9. Rose hips. Small, round oval, red-orange fruit left behind after wild rose flowers drop, hanging on the plant well into fall and winter, long after most other wild food is gone. Here's the part people skip. Cut them open and clean out the fine hairs around the seeds before eating them. Swallow those hairs and you'll be uncomfortable for an hour. Do that one step right, and you've got one of the best vitamin C sources on this entire list. They actually get sweeter after the first hard frost of the season, which makes them one of the few genuinely good wild foods still available once everything else has died back. Dried, they make a decent tea on their own. Skip the prep on this one, and you'll genuinely regret it. Do it right, and it's worth carrying a knife for. The next one has a smell that saves your life, literally, because of what it's confused with. Number 10. Wild garlic, or ramps. Broad, flat leaves in spring, and a strong, unmistakable garlic onion smell the moment you crush a leaf between your fingers. This is one of the most serious mix-ups in foraging, and I don't say that lightly. Wild garlic grows in the same spots as plants like lily of the valley, plants that don't smell anything like garlic and aren't food. The smell is the entire confirmation. No smell, no eat. No exceptions, no matter how right the leaves look on their own. This is the rule I drill into every single client before a spring trip, every time, without skipping it once. Your nose is a better field guide than your eyes on this one, and even once you've confirmed it, harvest it the way I do. Take a leaf or two per plant and leave the bulb so the patch is still there next spring. Now we're getting into the ones most people have never once considered eating. Number 11. Acorns. From oak trees, leaves lobed or pointed depending on the species, and a cap covering the top third to half of the nut itself. Real calories, real fat. Genuinely a historical staple food, not a survival gimmick someone made up for a video. But raw, they're bitter and hard on your stomach because of the tannins in them, and white oak acorns generally carry a lighter bitterness than red oak, if you get to choose. Either way, shell them, grind or slice them, and leach them in water, changing the water several times before they're actually good to eat. Dried afterward, that leached meal keeps for a long time and grinds into a usable flour, Skip the leaching step, and you'll think this whole list lied to you. Do it right, and it's real usable food. The next one grows almost everywhere you've ever hiked, and most people only think of it for firewood. Number 12. Pine. Needles growing in bundles along the branch, not single flat needles. With that unmistakable pine scent, the second you crush one between your fingers. Needle tea is a genuine source of vitamin C, and in a real emergency, the inner bark is edible too. The sap has real field use as well, dabbed onto a small cut as a rough antiseptic when you don't have a first aid kit on hand. Here's the distinction that actually matters, and it's one I teach every single client on their very first day out. You look similar from a distance, but its needles are flat and single, not bundled, and you is genuinely toxic. Bundle of needles, you're fine. One flat needle straight off the branch, you walk away. No second look required, no exceptions. The next one makes a drink that tastes like pink lemonade, and it has a cousin that will put you in the hospital. Number 13. Staghorn sumac. Upright, fuzzy, cone-shaped clusters of deep red berries at the tips of the branches, ready from late summer into fall. Soaked in cold water, those berries make a tart, lemony drink foragers call sumac-ade, genuinely refreshing, genuinely high in vitamin C, and one of the easiest wild drinks to make with almost no equipment. Here's your confirmation, and it's a simple one. Poison sumac has berries that are white or pale, hanging downward in loose clusters, not standing upright and red. Shape and color of the cluster, every single time. Upright and red, you're drinking lemonade. Drooping and white, you're not touching it. The last two on this list are the ones I actually build a trip's food plan around. Number 14, birch. Thin, papery bark, often white or silvery, peeling off in horizontal strips. It's one of the easiest trees on this entire list to identify at a glance, even from a distance. The inner bark is edible in a genuine emergency, and in early spring, the sap can be tapped much like maple for hydration and natural sugar. Most people only ever see this tree as firewood or a nice photo. I see a tree that can hydrate an entire group in early spring, if you know when to tap it. And if you do harvest bark for any reason, take it from a fallen branch or strip a small section rather than wringing the whole trunk. The tree needs that bark far more than you need a souvenir. And the last one is the plant I'm the most careful teaching, because the mistake here isn't misidentifying it. It's eating it too soon. Number 15, elderberry. Clusters of small dark purple-black berries on reddish stems with opposite compound leaves. This is genuinely one of the most nutrient-dense berries on this entire list, usable as both flowers and fruit, and high in vitamin C. The flowers themselves make a decent tea earlier in the season, well before the berries ever show up. I'll be honest with you, this is the one I got wrong myself early on. Before I understood that edible and edible raw are two completely different claims. Raw or unripe elderberries can make you genuinely sick to your stomach. Fully ripe and properly cooked, they're one of the best things you'll find out here. That's not optional advice. It's the difference between a good meal and a bad night in the backcountry. This is the best plant on this entire list, and the most dangerous piece of advice you could take from it is skipping the pot. Cook it, and it's one of the best things you'll ever find out there. Skip that step, and it's the reason this whole list comes with a warning attached to it right at the very end, where you'll actually remember it. That's all 15. Some of them you'll recognize the next time you're outside without even trying. A couple of them you'll have to go looking for on purpose, and a few of them, hopefully, you'll never again mistake for something they're not. So here's the short version of everything you just heard. Never eat anything you can't positively identify through multiple independent field markers. Not one glance, not one photo, not one confident guess based on a video you watched once. Learn the dangerous lookalikes specific to your own region, not just the ones I covered today, because they genuinely change depending on where you actually are standing. And a distinction that holds in the Cascades won't always hold somewhere else. When in doubt, don't. A missed meal is recoverable. A bad identification might not be, and that trade is never worth rushing. Remember that technically edible and safe raw are not the same claim. Check every single item on this list and every plant you find on your own afterward for a required prep step before it goes anywhere near your mouth. And cross-check any list, including this one, against a real regional field guide or an actual local expert before you rely on it in a real situation, not after. I'm not selling you an app or a supplement stack here. This is just what's actually kept my clients fed for 17 years. And I still confirm a plant 3 separate ways before I trust it myself. That one habit is the whole reason I've never had to learn one of these lessons the hard way twice. So tell me, what have you actually foraged and correctly identified yourself? Drop it below. If you've got a lookalike mix-up story, yours or one you've heard secondhand, I want to hear it, because those stories are usually how people actually learn this stuff for real, not from a script like this one. And if there's a plant, berry, or tree specific to your part of the world you want me to break down next, tell me roughly where you're hiking and what grows out there, and I'll see what I can cover in a future trip through this same kind of list.